Welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, monadrose, and we're here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Today's episode is going to be on Survivor, first episode, season 43. We had a 2-hour episode, a lot going on, and we'll get right into it. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. So can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay. We have the 3 tribes again. We have Vessi, Coco, and Baka. Vessi is in orange, and that is Cody, Justine, Nika, Noel, Jesse, and Dwight. Then we have Coco, which is blue. We have Lindsay, Cassidy, Gio, Carla, James, and Ryan. And then we have the Baka, which is in yellow, and that is Mike G, goes by Gabler, Owen, Sammy, Elizabeth, she goes by Ellie, Mariah, and Janine. I will say that I don't like the idea of the small tribes starting out. I wish they would go back to 2 tribes at the beginning and split them equally and then have a mix-up somewhere in the middle. There's nowhere to hide when you have the 3 small tribes. There's only 6 of you. So if you do go to tribal council, you have 1 in 6 chance of going home. So that's not something that I particularly like, but it looks like that's what they're sticking with. We're going to stay with, I think 28 days is the season from now on versus the 40 that it used to be, or 39. So we're still going to have a shorter season. So we start off the episode with the challenge to try to get their flint. I thought that they all did pretty good in this one. There were a few people that needed a little bit more help than others. But I think that overall for their first challenge that we see of them, that everybody put in a good effort. So Vessi won their flint, and I think they were actually the last ones to get up there to try to get their flint off the pole. And I still don't recall or know who it was that said to use the end of the bamboo, the hole in the end, and put the flint in it and then pull the key off. Because you had a tilt like this that they had to get the key up. So the slightest little move, the key would fall back down. Or the flint would fall back down. So somebody on the Vessi tribe said stick the flint in the hole of the bamboo. Worked like a charm. They got their flint. So the other 2, Coco and Baka, they had to try to get their supplies once they got to camp. And their supplies only consist of a machete, a pot, and their flint. So the other 2 tribes get to their beaches, and they have a choice to do sweat or savvy. Sweat, basically digging in a square area to try to find your supplies somewhere in that area, and only 2 of your tribe members could do it, which meant that they were away from the rest of the tribe the whole time that they were doing it. The other was savvy, and it was a puzzle of sorts, mind puzzle, I guess you would say. It had a number with bones, and they had to only remove 2 bones to make the largest number that they could, and they only had 1 guess at it. Each challenge had 4 hours to get it done. So Coco went with the sweat. And actually they found their supplies rather quickly, I thought. And then you had Baka that went with the savvy. And they went over it. They had a little chalkboard that they could write stuff on to try to guess. Sammy finally kind of led them to the answer after watching for a while and nothing coming about. I will say that he impressed me. For only 19 years old, I think he's going to do well. He's trying to stay under the radar. He's letting everybody else try things before he does. If they can't get it, then he comes in and saves the day. He did the same thing with fire. I think if he could stay under the radar, I think he'll go far. And he is one of my top picks to win the season. And while we're talking about that, I've picked 3 off of each tribe that I think will make it to the merge. We will see how this plays out through the season because my picks are usually not that good. But we're going to give it a shot. So in Vesey, I have Cody, Nika, and Dwight. In Coco, I have Lindsay, Carla, and Ryan. And then in Baca, I have Gabler, Ellie, and Sammy. So those are my picks to see how far that they can make it in the season. They all get back to their beaches. They all get their supplies. They start building shelter. And then the boat shows up. And they have to pick one of them to go on a journey. I will say I don't like this. I don't like that the advantages are handed to them per se versus them having to find them on the beach. It also puts a target on whoever's back is going over there. But we saw it in season 41 and 42 where they had Ship Island. This year it's not Ship Island, it's a big rock. I call it Rock Island because it's a giant rock in the middle of an island. That they had to go to neither risk their vote or protect their vote. They have cards. All 3 of them have to flip them over at the same time to determine what they did. There's 3 bags. If all 3 of them risk it, they grab from the 3. 2, they grab from the 2. 1, they grab from the 1. There's only 1 advantage in each bag, so the other ones would lose their vote. I like it where they had to go find the idols or they had to go find the advantages. I think that it's almost dumbed it down some, so to speak, because they don't have to search for the idols. I think that they still have idols on the beach. But the players we've seen from the last 3 seasons, they don't go on that beach and just start looking for idols right away. Like the old players used to because they knew that there was idols hidden on the island. Versus chances to win advantages or idols. With all that being said, I think telling anyone that you have an idol or an advantage, you're shooting yourself in the foot because that's automatically going to put a target on your back. You don't know who you can trust in the game. So, as we've seen in the last 2 seasons, with everyone having diarrhea of the mouth when they get something, they're targeted. I don't think it's ever a good idea to let anyone know that you have an idol or you have an advantage. The idol's always going to put a target on your back because they're going to try to flush it out, and if you don't play it, you go home. Just my opinion. Past seasons anyway, I have to admit that the game has changed since I started watching it season 1. And the players that are coming on to Survivor now think a little bit differently than old school survivors. So, for Rock Island, it was Gabler, Dwight, and Carla. Gabler and Dwight risked their vote. Carla protected her vote. They can't open them until they get back to the island. Both immediately went back to their tribe and told them exactly what the journey was. That they had to risk their vote, or they had to protect their vote. And I'm thinking, why would you tell them that? But then the more I think about it, if they've seen the last 2 seasons, then they're going to know what this journey is. And if they go back and they lie about it, then it's going to put a target on their back. But if you risk your vote and you get an idol, why not say you risked your vote and you lost your vote? I don't think there's that much of a chance of them finding out that you actually voted versus telling them you risked your vote, you lost your vote, or you still had your vote. You protected your vote, sorry. If you tell them that you protected your vote and you actually risk it and lost it, then when you go to tribal council, it can be shown that you didn't vote. So I think it's a catch-22. I probably would have told them what I did on the journey or what the journey was. If I was Gabler, which won the idol, I would not have told anybody that I had the idol. I would have told them I lost my vote. He won an idol that's good for the next 2 tribal challenges. So he could have used it on this one if he needed it, or the next time that they go to tribal. The way I understood the rules is the next 2 tribal councils for their tribe. So we get to the weekly immunity challenge. And this is kind of one, I think, a mixture of ones that we've seen in the past. They had like the low lion cage that they had to crawl underneath in the mud. Everybody had to do that. Then they get to another set of beams where they have to dig out underneath the beams and get in the middle and dig until they find the balls that they're going to use for their puzzle. All of the tribe mates had to go through that. The next one is a beam that only one tribe member has to go under. And they have to dig and get themselves under it, and then they take the machete and they cut the rope to release a ramp for the rest of the tribe mates to go up. Then they had a balance beam that they had to cross, untie a lever, take that on the balance beam and open it up. So instead of just one single beam, it opens up to like a plank for everyone to walk across. Then they slide down another ramp to the puzzles. First one down gets to choose from 3 different puzzles. Second one down gets to choose from 2 different puzzles. Third one down has to take the puzzle that's there. And there's different versions of the ball puzzle where they have to put the ball in and they have to do it through the maze. I don't think any of them was any less difficult than the other ones, to be honest. So Coco is the first one up and across their balance beam. And then get down to the puzzle. Bessie was the second one up. Coco was the first one down the ramp. And then Baca was the second one down the ramp. And then Bessie. Coco was the one who won immunity. Bessie actually came from behind and got second immunity. So the Baca tribe is going to tribal council. And just as a refresher, that's Gabler, Owen, Sammy, Ellie, Mariah, and Jeannie. So they get back to camp. And Gabler starts saying that it was his fault or it's partially his fault that they lost, because he was on the puzzle with Sammy. Now, out of all of them, I think Jeannie actually did the worst, because it took her the longest to get underneath the single beam, even though she was the smallest on the tribe. But he's saying, look, I'm partially at fault. The reason we lost, I'm not going to use my idol. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you thinking? Why would you even throw yourself out there as being a potential vote? And I'm like, okay, well, Ellie talks him down off that ledge and's like, no, you don't need to do that. We need you. We need to keep the tribe strong. When there's only 6 of you, you need to keep the tribe strong, or you're going to end up there again. We've seen it over and over. So I don't particularly think that Gabler would be the right one to vote out in doing so. Jeannie, she's the one that went underneath the beam, the single beam. She has a big old nasty, I don't know, look kind of like a rug burn, but I'm guessing it's just from going underneath that beam. But her whole chin is ate up. Everybody starts talking. Mariah's name comes up and Owen's name comes up. And they were going back and forth on those two. So I thought it would probably be Owen. So they go to tribal council, and I think it was Mariah that said, even if we lost today, we won. And Jeff was like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? And she's like, well, we won because we tried our best. And that's not going to work in Survivor. They lost, but they tried their best. That's not going to work in Survivor. You have to play hard. You have to win to stay in the game. So they had their vote, and the first person voted out was Mariah. And I was so disappointed in that. I really hoped that I would see her go far. I liked her. I liked her personality. I think she would have been fun to watch. And if the girls had stuck together like they said they were going to stick together, then she wouldn't have been the one to go home. It would have been Owen. But Ellie, I guess, is thinking keep the tribe strong and that Mariah's the weakest. But when Mariah went across that balance beam, there towards the end, she almost fell. And she made a hell of a jump from the balance beam to the platform in order to untie the pole and open it up to the bridge for the rest of the team. So I don't necessarily think that she was the weakest link in that challenge. Here again, it's why I don't like a 6-person team, because there's not a lot of places to look. Versus a bigger tribe, you can kind of gauge more about who contributed more, I guess. So she was the first one to go home. I was sad to see that. We will see how next week goes. I know in the previews I saw Cody's team talking about voting him out, which I didn't really like because I like Cody. He's one of my picks, so I'm hoping that whatever happens next week, he can turn that around. With that being said, for those of you who don't watch Big Brother, if you're just now watching this on the Survivor playlist, I'm having surgery come Tuesday morning. I'm having shoulder surgery done, and I'm hoping that I only miss 1 week. If so, it'll be next Wednesday. I won't have a video for that. Hopefully by the following Wednesday when it comes on again, I have a little over a week, that at least maybe I can come on and do a live afterwards. I'm going to look at that as well. So let me know in the comments, would you rather have the video recaps, or would you rather do a live? Because I can do either or. So I'd like to get you guys' input. But that's about it for this week. I will either see you guys on my next video for either Big Brother or The Amazing Race, or if Survivor is all you watch, I will see you 2 weeks from today. Yep, 2 weeks from today, I think. I tell you, I'm losing track of my days, this surgery coming up. But anyway, you guys have a great night. And as always, much love.